I feel like right now we're doing a good job of progressing. Just a mixture of the guys that we have that are returning, along with the guys that are just coming in. The returners for us, a guy like Jimmy Fox, who's obviously uh, played every game for us. Started 12 of those 13 games for us. He showed us a lot of the leadership, and that's my expectation with him. I thought that he did some good things last year and just, really had a good offseason and working on continue to get better with his technique, and accepting that leadership role. A guy who's returning that has really kind of stepped into that light as well has been Emanuel Dabney up to this point. We expect a lot of him. He's a athletic kid. He's got all of the tools. We want to keep him healthy first and foremost. But then we want to be able to put him in a position where he's a guy that we can lean on. And then you just kind of go down the line with those guys, Isaiah Avery, Hunter Getz, those guys are guys that are going to be better than they were last year, just because they're a year into the program under us, under my coaching, under what we do from a defensive standpoint. And then you mix in, the new guys, the young guns, so to speak, as far as Quinton Reese and Deon Biggins. And then, we had Ian Hector, who was a transfer in to us. But, Deon and Q are guys that come in and they press the pedal right away, just because they look completely different as far as their length. And then, their athleticism puts them in a position where they're going to challenge, not just in our room, but from a defensive standpoint. And so we're excited about that and definitely look. And then God has probably been the biggest, I won't say surprise. We knew he was going to be good coming in. But as a freshman, we had him at safety, and now we moved him back to corner. It's Chris Megson. I expect him to challenge to be a guy that you see out there at first snap this year. Him, um, Jimmy, Dabney, those three guys are guys that you see kind of spearheading, those two spots going into the season. But, like I said, the returners as well as the young guys that are in are right on their heels as well. And that's what we want. Coach preaches it. We talk about it defensively. I talk about it individually in our room. It's competition. I mean, if you're not here to compete, then you're in the wrong spot because we're going to try to put ourselves in that situation every day.
You lose a guy like Bajor Wilson, who's got an NFL contract, and then a couple others as well that have been lost from that room. How good do you feel? It sounds like you still feel pretty good though about the depth that you have in there.
Well, I'm a corners coach, so you're not going to catch me on the day where I'm not confident for sure. But I do think that it definitely has to do with those guys that have been here before. Just really, we grew as a group. We grew as a team, as a family through the entire process of last year. We got to spend the extra bowl time together. You know what I mean? And so where we've lost time in the spring, that made up. I won't say made up, but that helps because we spent an extra how many ever weeks preparing to go down to Orlando. And so guys that had been in this program that hadn't got those reps early on, take another 100 reps or so, or whatever that number is, and they grow. And so now you put them in a position where they come back and they've been through here this summer. They know what to expect from me. They know what we are asking them from a defensive standpoint. When you see growth in that group, that's what excites you. And then we knew what we had in the guys that we recruited. We knew what Quinton Reese was going to be. We knew what Deon Biggins was going to be. And if they were where they at then, now it's getting college reps under their belt, college competition under their belt, and then the sky's the limit for those guys. So very excited about that. And I feel that room is I feel like we're a little bit deeper than we were last year just because of the guys that return.
You mentioned Jimmy, and it's a guy that's been around the program now for a while, like you were saying. I mean, even to the previous coaching staff. I mean, what is that a big reason why you feel like he's poised to take the next step this year, just because of the experience?
I think the experience, but I think Jimmy has grown. When I came in, and I would be very transparent as I am with our guys. Jimmy was a question mark. He's a guy that had ability, had some potential, but didn't always do everything right off the field. Didn't always have the best attitude, all of those things. And And he was one of the first guys that I had a conversation with, and that, man, you have ability and you have tools. Everybody's different, and so yours may not be the same as Bejur or the next guy, but we got to figure out a way to get those tools working in the right direction. And then you got to clean up the stuff off the field. You got to clean up the stuff in the classroom. And like, he wasn't in any, legal trouble or anything like that. But just, you can't be an energy vampire, man. You got to come in, and with a guy that's played now 13 games last year, and, he had how many ever games before I got here under your belt. My expectation of you is for you to lead. And I'm going to help you see what that looks like. I'm going to show you that, but at this point now, if Jimmy doesn't know what that looks like and he can't run with that baton, we're in trouble. And I think he accepted that challenge. He's done everything that I've asked as far as being me when I'm not around, so to speak. You know what I mean? He's making sure that we're doing what we need to do to move forward. And I think he's just grown as a young man, and that's probably been more refreshing than him making plays on Saturday. Is just to see his growth off the field.
Hey, Rickey, you mentioned you had a transfer in there. Who was that again that you said you guys brought in to add to the room?
Ian Hector. Ian is a young man that transferred from Wingate University, and so he is here right now. He's got the compliance side of things to go through to see if he's going to be eligible this year or not. But he definitely brings athleticism and twitch to the room.
Was he a late addition to the room? Did you guys get him after the seasons were canceled? Is that how it played out?
We did. We actually he's coming in as a walk on to us, and so his deal is wanted the opportunity and wanted to be able to play at a higher level, and we kind of saw him before. Once he was enrolled and everything was good on the school side of things, we were able to bring him on as a member from a roster standpoint. And then, like I said, just being able to see him thus far and being able to see what he did before at his previous institution, he's a guy that I expect things from, whether that be this year, if he is eligible to play, or the following years.
You spoken high. Go ahead, John.
Sorry, Damien. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, John. How you doing, man?
Good to see you. With the way that offenses play nowadays, throwing the ball so many times, how many guys do you really want to have ready? And does it really matter who's starter and who's second or third string, because you just got to have a number of guys ready to play?
I don't know if you give me a trick question there or not, John. Man, we got to have everybody in that room ready playing, especially when you practice against our offense every day. But no, I think the big thing for us, and that was something our guys had to get a little bit used to. Even Bejur as a senior last year, like, Coach, I'm used to taking 75 snaps a game, and I'm like, well, the way people play offense now, and I'm not wanting to have a guy out there for 75 snaps a game. I want us as fresh as possible. And so I think our mentality is to go in with at least a four guys deep at corner. We want to be able to be two deep on each side, and then we'll have guys in that room that may also travel from a special team standpoint. Anybody in my room, if they're not playing special teams, then that's not the right guy. And so some of those guys will be special teams guys for us as well. But we're on call and ready to have four guys that can play in every game, and I think that helps us not only in game, but also, when you talk about a season that our goal is to be 13 plus or how many ever games, deep into the year, we want to make sure that we can go that far. And injury is the thing you got to watch out for. It bit us pretty good last year, and so now this year I feel like like I said, I feel like we're building that stable of guys that can always be ready week to week.
You've spoken highly about the depth, and you did lose a key piece, a starter last year, and Keytrell. And how have the group, the guys that have remained, how have they rallied to know, hey, spots open. There was always going to be competition, but now it's our opportunity to go and seize that opportunity.
Our guys really accepted. They didn't flinch. I think they understood from their standpoint of the decision that Keytrail made, and wished him the best. but then they went back to work. You know what I mean? And it's no hard feelings to them from what I can tell in our room. But our guys, they want to work, they want to compete. You know, and again, I think that's a part of our culture from a team standpoint. You know, when you hear it from coach, when you hear it from coaches and everybody on our staff, whether that's who you are or not, I think it kind of just started getting embedded in your head that's who we're going to be. You know, and they've really accepted those challenges. And you know, at the end of the day, we had a younger group last year that is hungry still from that time period. So, you know, they kind of just relished in the moment and tried to go get it.
How valuable was the 15 extra practices you got from playing in the Cure Bowl, since you lost, 10 of the 15 practices in the spring, to have that time with the group, especially those younger corners, so that way their development wasn't stunted by the lack of spring practice?
I didn't think about that until, you know, all of this hit. But, you know, when you're in the midst of these things and you got this downtime and you kind of thinking, yes, you know, we missed the spring and by no means did we replace it. But to have 15 practices on top of it, when you look at a guy like Chris Megason, like I said, we started him at corner, we moved him to safety, and we moved him back to corner. Now that young man gets 15 practices that he wouldn't have gotten if we didn't, you know, have that opportunity. You know, his relationship with myself, you know, able to grow with him, with guys like Emmanuel, you know, who was hurt throughout the year, and for him to really just kind of push through those practices there at the end, for him to be able to get on the field and that bowl game experience and actually play well outside of one play. You know, I just think it really helped our group from a bonding standpoint as well as uh, just being more comfortable with who we are defensively.
Coach, you spoke highly about Emanuel Dabney. And maybe it's because he was injured so much last year. I think he had a hamstring. But what's the biggest growth you've seen out of him since December?
He talks more. No, he's just done a really good job of understanding. I think, you know, different guys are different, and I think he just realizes, man, this is my last opportunity from a college standpoint. You know, he went a long route to get here, as far as being at, you know, Southern Miss and then transferring junior college and then ending up with us. And like you said, being injured last year, you know, he missed. There was a string there in the middle where, you know, his hamstring was just wouldn't allow him to go for about 4 or 5 games in the middle of the season. And then when you get him back at the end of the season, you don't just, you know, put him out there for 60 plays. You kind of just make sure that he's where he needs to be from a mental standpoint as well as athletic standpoint. I think he's just really seizing the moment as a senior, you know, looking to take advantage of that opportunity. And it also helps, again, when you got young guys chomping at your heels, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to be standing with me on Saturday. Everybody wants to be on the field. So I think that's kind of lit a fire as well.
Being able to put Chris Meganson at corner and just tell him, hey, this is where your home is now, is that going to be helpful for him instead of, you know, I mean, he's athletic enough to do both, but, you know, just having him in one spot, is that helpful?
I think it's helpful for him, and I think it's awesome for him from a mental standpoint. You know, you got to do some mental gymnastics at safety in our defense, and not that he's unable to do that, but trying to balance that as well as, you know, you don't just get to come over corner and say that's my guy. You know what I mean? You got to know some ins and outs of what we want to do as well, and so I think him being able to focus on one position, the techniques of the cornerback position that I'm asking him to play, is putting him in a position where he is going to and is already having a pretty good camp.
We've heard Coach Freeze talk highly about your two freshmen, Quinton Reese and Deon Biggins. You had several true freshmen play last year in the secondary. Are these two guys you think can play this year?
They are, and I think those guys are putting themselves in a position where they're going to challenge. Now, is that a situation where they play four and we redshirt them, or we play them throughout? You know, that's something we'll take in consideration on both ends of it for them as well as us. But I think though the recruiting process, you know, we went to go find two longer, faster, athletic guys, and we felt like we hit home runs with both. And our expectation was for them to come in and really challenge and put themselves in a position where if they we're able to grasp what we're asking them to do, compete at the same level as guys that have been here. That they're going to be guys that we look to see on Saturday afternoons and evenings.
The player you mentioned earlier in your opening statement, Hunter Getz, he's a guy like Meganson who I think started at corner, moved to safety, now it's back to corner. Has that allowed him from a mental side to be, more focused in and kind of more in tune with what you guys want him to do at corner?
Yeah, I do. I think Hunter's kind of been in the same boat as Emmanuel. Those two guys just fought injuries like crazy last year, and so to have them back, to have them healthy, to have an off season with Dom, and with Danielle and nutrition to transform, their bodies and keep them in position that's going to allow them to be healthy from an injury standpoint is going to be what allows them to come back and challenge. You still got to see because of the injuries that Hunter has had since I've been here. He was injured the spring when I first got here. He's injured throughout the season. I just want him to be healthy so he can go out there and compete, and I can really get a good evaluation of who he is and what he is on the field.
With the depth being better in the secondary this year, are you not as worried about safeties taking some of your athletes away during the year and having them play there because we saw that was a recurrent theme last year. You had some guys at corner that got stolen to safety. Are you are things better now where depth wise you got your guys and you don't have to worry about them having to go play a different position?
Well, it's kind of the way we recruited as well. On the back end, we recruit as many corner bodies as we possibly can. And our hope is that if they aren't able to work out in that corner room, that we put weight on them. They have the mental capacity. They can play safety. You don't want to recruit a whole lot of safeties and try to move them to the corner. It really don't work out that way. So you can see they've already taken Marcus Haskins from me, and he's going to be a safety. But that's a part of the way that we recruit it. That's a part of the way that we go from a defensive standpoint. Scott and I, as well as Coach Batum, Corey coming in, we're able to sit down and just say, okay, who are the best 5 guys to be on the field that can do what we're asking them to do at each position, and let's put them out there. And so at corner now, like you said, I have more bodies than we had last year, and more experience. And so I think that puts us in a position where we feel comfortable with that room. And obviously the safety room has grown. And so, we try to keep guys from the back and forth.